Welcome in to Texans today after an amazing 44-10, just absolute BTA win over the Baltimore Ravens. And I know everybody's going to say this before I even start today's program. Chuggs, we played an awful team. We played one of the worst teams out there. They had all these injuries. I get it. But at the end of the day, all the Texans could do is play the guys that are in front of them. And that's what they did. They played the team that was in front of them. They played the guys that they had lined up across from them, and they absolutely dominated today. So I don't want to hear any of this, oh, well, this, that, or the other, no Lamar Jackson. If the Texans were without C.J. Stroud, nobody would be batting an eye. Everybody would be clowning us. So let's be loud. Let's be proud. Subscribe for more Texans watch parties and spam those W's down in the comment section. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care because we got a dub today, and we should feel good about that. We should feel good about this team, feel good about this victory. Texans fans, we got a dub over the Baltimore Ravens, the team who had lost to us, or we had lost to the past two meetings, and the Texans set a new franchise record for points in an away game. 44 points put up against the Baltimore Ravens. Now, let's get into my 5 takeaways from this ball game. Obviously, take everything with a grain of salt because the Texans, as I mentioned, were playing basically the Ravens' backup squad on defense and then no Lamar Jackson on offense. The one thing I'll be critical about the Houston Texans was on offense, there still is some communication issues. There still were a couple times where C.J. Stroud needed to change some things up at the line, change some protection here and there. Texans got lucky with one of those penalties on what would have been a 10-yard sack on third down. Those things can be worked on, and those things I still think need to be tweaked out for this Texans victory. The offensive line I thought played better. We saw more Juice Scruggs. I don't know if we saw really that much Laken Tomlinson today. I'll have to go back and watch the tape, look at the snap counts that they put out there. But I thought Juice Scruggs looked good at left guard. The offensive line held up pretty nicely. As I mentioned, the only thing was there's a couple of those communication issues, and that comes more down to C.J. Stroud, the running backs in the backfield, and, just overall the protection scheme and Nick Caley. Besides that, though, I do think C.J. Stroud looked much more confident today. He was fantastic. Let's take a look at his numbers real quick. 23 of 27, 244 yards, 4 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, almost a perfect quarterback rating of 143.9. And I know, as I'll probably say a million times in this video, the Ravens were without a lot of their starting defense. I get it. But C.J. Stroud, more than that, I think he looks more confident in this offensive system. He looks more confident in Nick Caley and the guys around him. We saw him spreading the ball out a ton today. I mean, it wasn't just, Nico Collins getting the ball. Xavier Hutchinson was able to get in for a couple catches for 2 touchdowns, or 3 catches for 2 touchdowns. Nico Collins was able to get his. Jalen Knoll touched the ball a couple times. He got his first touchdown. Christian Kirk had a nice game. And maybe the biggest player of the game today for this Texans offense, he showed out, and he deserves his flowers, is Dalton Schultz. I thought Dalton Schultz looked awesome today. Really, his connection with C.J. Stroud, both those guys, whenever it was 3rd and medium, 2nd and medium, and he needed somebody to pick up that first down, they went to Dalton Schultz, and he was able to really, help move the ball down the field and be that guy that kind of the rookie year, like the reason why the Texans wanted to keep him in Houston, that rookie year C.J. Stroud, his connection with Dalton Schultz, that's what we saw today in Baltimore between those two. Great connection right there. Quick question for you right here. Is C.J. Stroud back to being rookie C.J. Stroud? We knew the sophomore slump. He started off the year not so good, but today, this was vintage C.J. Stroud from 2023, 2024. He looked fantastic in today's matchup. Is that enough for you to say we have the old C.J. Stroud back? Let me know down in the comment section. Give me your thoughts on C.J. Stroud because he played near perfect game in Baltimore in Week 5. My third takeaway was the rookies got even more involved. And you saw it, the first touchdown of his young NFL career for Jalen Knoll. We saw I think a more concerted effort to get the ball to some of these guys. Jaden Higgins as well. Last week, he had 1 catch for a touchdown. This week, 4 receptions, 32 yards. I think he was able to get the ball a little bit more in today's game. Also, Woody Marks, 7 carries, 24 yards, 3.4 yards a carry. He at least was able to get out there a little bit more. Not the same weekend that we saw last week, but he looked fantastic, catching the ball out of the backfield, running the ball out of the backfield. And the one thing in his game, I think the biggest plus from Woody Marks today, yes, he also had like a 12-yard gain that got negated by a hold from Juice Scruggs. His pass protection. Woody Marks sneakily might be the best pass protector that the Texans have on this roster right now. He was fantastic. And, as I mentioned, the other rookies got involved too. You saw the first touchdown of his young career for Jalen Knoll. Jaden Higgins was able to get in there. I thought Ursary looked a lot more comfortable at left tackle. Didn't really let up a ton of pressures. He was going up against Odafe Owe. So still a good pass rusher in his own right. I thought the Texans rookies, and especially the rookies on offense, looked a lot better today. I have a couple more takeaways from this game, but first, quick shout out for our show sponsor. Go to chatsports.com/Texans sale. All these items you're seeing on sale now at the website, chatsports.com/Texans sale. That link will be in the comment section and description of today's show. You never know when these items are going to go out of sale, when they'll be sold out. So get them while the getting's good. Some of them still might be available as we speak. So go to chatsports.com/Texans sale. Go check out all the great deals that they have on tap for you. Like I said, it's a sale, so you don't know how long these items will still be available. All right, we have 2 more takeaways from this Texans' absolute dismantling of the Ravens in Baltimore. And if I told you the Texans were 2-3 going into their bye week in Week 6, and one of their wins was up against the Ravens, yeah, huh? But yes, they were able to do that, and they were also able to kind of, one of the, kind of boogeymen of the Texans over the past 5-6 years has been Derrick Henry. I showed you his stats leading up to this game up against the Texans. He has an NFL record 4 200-yard rushing games up against the Houston Texans in his career. And obviously the Texans were stacking the box. They didn't, want to let Derrick Henry get going. They really kind of shut him down. 15 carries, 33 yards, 2.2 yards per carry. He had the 1 touchdown. Whenever the Ravens got the ball into the red zone, he was able to punch it in. But besides that, the Texans really held them in check. They stacked the box. They said, Cooper Rush, you're going to beat us if we're going to lose. And obviously, Cooper Rush, he's not that guy. Wasn't able to get it done. But I'm really proud of this Texans team for not letting Derrick Henry get going. Not letting this Ravens offensive line, who was also without Ronnie Stanley at left tackle, get going in the run game. They really were able to come up. Jalen Petrie laid the wood one time on Derrick Henry. Absolutely depleted him. I thought this team really was able to come together and get an all-around solid victory. I mean, when you win 44-10, not a lot of bad to say about this squad. And I want to hear from you before I give my last takeaway. What's one word to describe how you feel going into the bye week? The Texans are 2-3, not where we want to be, but we still control our own destiny. We're still able to get into this, AFC South race for the division title. We're still able to get into a race for a possible wild card, spot as well. The Texans are in a decent spot heading into the bye week. Let me know, what's your one-word reaction to the Texans getting a dub today? My one word is relieved. If the Texans lost today, I'm not even kidding you, it was going to be a fire everyone video today. If the Texans weren't able to pick out a victory up against Baltimore with how many guys they were missing, you had to. It was a must-win for this Texans team, and they were able to do it. Today, they were able to get it done in Baltimore. I'm relieved, to say the least. And then lastly, the Texans, they finally got some turnovers on defense. That's the one thing that this Texans defense was really missing, this year compared to last year. And I really got to shout out one guy in particular, Jalen Petrie. This dude showed up today, and it's funny because, after the Texans released C.J. Gardner-Johnson, there was a lot of rumors flying around. Jalen Petrie, though, he has stepped up big time in this Texans secondary. The corners as well, Kamari Lassiter, he as well was able to get a turnover and interception up against Cooper Rush. So the fact that Jalen Petrie, Kamari Lassiter were able to kind of get going, get some turnovers on the board for this Texans team. I know like I said, you're playing a depleted Ravens squad, but you're not playing down to your competition, which really made me proud today. You didn't say, hey, the Ravens suck. Let's just take this week off. We're going to get a win anyway. No, the Texans showed up. They showed up on offense. They showed up on defense and played 4 quarters of swarm football regardless of who lined up across for them. I know the Ravens will probably look back at this game. Ravens fans will say, hey, whatever. This was our preseason squad. That might be the case, but at the end of the day, these are professionals. And the Texans came out and they handled business like professionals. That's all I have for you on today's show, folks. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, you can do so at Jeremy Chuggs. My DMs are always open. And if you want to hit me up on IG, you can do so at Texans Today CS. Also on TikTok at Jeremy Chuggs. All right, that's all I have for you on today's show, folks. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Join us on Wednesday for our live show this week, 3:30 Central Time, as we're breaking down everything around your Houston Texans.